Okay, so for everyone who doesn't understand the nature of the beast that's going on right now, EA is currently about to get bought by a couple of people, a Saudi Arabian prince and Jared Kushner. Now, whether or not you think that means anything or you care to think politic wise behind both parties, whether it be Saudi Arabia's view on a lot of liberties that Western culture doesn't have, considering how they function, or just with Jared Kushner and considering who all he's a part of and attached to and what that might represent. The main thing people should take away from this is that in the grand scheme of things, what the fuck does that matter? That does not matter as a pretext behind those individuals or the different parties that are purchasing EA or about to purchase, because it's a shitload of different companies and whatnot, all banding together to kind of make this purchase happen. But seriously, like, that should be in the back of your mind as whether that'll affect anything, because EA hasn't made a good fucking game in years. So why get hung up on something that genuinely just doesn't matter? That none of that stuff actually has any weight behind it, considering that what exactly could they possibly do even worse than what EA has already done with them just functioning as their own entity already? Now, I've seen multiple people bring up different articles and whatnot, even EA themselves having their CEO and whatnot come out and say things like, hey, we're still going to stick to our same business model where we're still going to release the same stuff we've always been releasing. Nothing really going to change. It's just this deal is happening. And one, bullshit. And two, they don't care about you, the consumer. They never have. If they did, BioWare would be BioWare, rather than a company that essentially is a shell of its former self and has basically flopped 3 fucking games all within the span of what, like 15 years? Seriously, there's no reason to think that, oh, it'll get so much worse because of this deal actually happening. It really can't. Even when people mentioning it, like the articles and stuff that people talk about, they're mentioning games and companies that EA has under their belt, and then the games that they have done that are like huge successes and massive hits that people love, enjoy, and talk about. But those games, but like EA hasn't done anything with those titles and whatnot. Fuck, what is it? The people responsible for Apex Legend, isn't it Respawn? I believe that's Respawn. They like, I've seen someone mention Titanfall, and it's like, dude, Titanfall should be declared legally dead. They're not going to make another Titanfall, not until they get dire. And the thing is that the people who are like the Respawn now working on Apex Legends, they're done with it. They don't want to do it anymore. But it's a cash cow for EA, so they're gonna keep making them do it. But like they're sick and tired of it. I would be too. And so, but it's like, oh, let's mention the fact that they have done something great as a pretext to maybe we could possibly get this deal to either get squashed or someone needs to change on anything like that. No, the thing is that upon this buy, what you're going to get, which is like definitely a factor, is that you're going to get a lot of layoffs, more layoffs than what are currently happening within the gaming sphere in total, because so many people are getting fired because their jobs are useless. And so then it's like, all right, you're going to have a prince of a fucking very conservative country come in and deal with something that essentially is outside the realm of his culture and whatnot. And then it's just gonna boil down to, what do we need in order to get profit from this? Like, how do we keep this profitable? The whole reason I'm doing this is for a profit. So I heard an argument to where it was like, you know, this happening and then EA being responsible for a bunch of different games that essentially could easily lead to backdoors to like your data and stuff like that. That's an argument to have. That is definitely an argument to have, because right now data mining is the biggest thing that everyone wants to do. Shit's taking, like, how many people see user agreements on shit for consoles, and it's like, you don't read it, so you don't know exactly what's all going to what. But hey, you know, fucking PlayStation is able to ban your account for voice chat shit because, you know, that makes perfect sense. But so it's like that again, that's an argument to have. But at the same token, I don't really see the big deal on worrying about this in particular, because there's nothing to worry about from EA. Nothing good has came out of EA. This is similar to Xbox's acquisition of Activision as well as acquisition of Bethesda. The thing with those was that those companies currently had games that essentially, like, their last couple of games were actually worth a damn. They've had hits and misses and whatnot, but they were still a very, very big, broad company. After the acquisition, everything went downhill because it was like, yeah, it was all about money. So fuck it. I mean, look at what happened with Obsidian after they left fucking Bethesda. And then Bethesda dared to try and make some RPG without Obsidian. How dare you? And it blew up in their fucking faces, because it's like, yeah, they're not Obsidian. But everything that people love about Bethesda comes from a majority of people loving Fallout New Vegas. But that wasn't Bethesda. And it's like, hey, so many people grew up with Skyrim because it was just thrown in their faces over 50 million times. And so it's like, all right, you just kind of accept it now. And then it's like, thanks to mods, the game is actually playable and good, but it's been HD remastered for like fucking ever. So who knows what's going to happen when they do the next fucking Skyrim. But and then you saw what happened when they did, what is it, Starfield? Yeah, Starfield. When they did Starfield. And it was like, people, hey, that game sucks. Skyrim in space, but boring. Just so boring. And you got what you got. But it's like, that happened after the acquisition. So it's like, when Xbox bought it, they released that game, Xbox exclusive, except for PC, and no one gave a fuck. And so it's like, okay, you got so many different companies buying up so many different other gaming companies, but every time they do this shit turns to shit. And then you essentially have people lose their fucking mind when a goddamn indie game comes out and just blows everyone else out the water. Just by doing bare minimum and basic shit. This is annoying on so many fronts. I'm someone who sits there and hoop and hollers about fucking anime adaptations and shit like that. Yet at the same time, when I see video game stuff, it's like, dude, all the information is laid out in front of you. We've seen this happen repeatedly over and over and over again. And the reason I get so upset at like anime shit is because it's like the same fucking thing that happened to movies is happening to video games, and it's gonna happen to anime. And yet, for whatever reason, nerds just don't fucking care and they don't pay attention to this shit. And it's like, this is outrageous behavior. Because it's like, if we just combine all our energies into just melding nerd culture into one giant entity, we could possibly start having an age where we just get good shit because we demand it as the consumers who are wasting their money on this stuff. So seriously, people need to understand is like, this deal being done ain't a big deal, considering the fact that EA ain't done shit in years that would warrant actually being upset or having a problem with this. The YouTuber Kyle, he made a good point. And now, I personally don't believe that this deal itself is a good thing, but I do believe he had a good point in mentioning what he was talking about and how this is going to affect essentially a lot of jobs that EA has had and garnered. Well, whether you could think on something like The Sims, for example, which is a huge cash cow for EA and has a big ass community and whatnot, but it has like unbelievable fucking gay rhetoric and shit like that attached to it from the community and whatever. If you're in the know, then you know. But the thing is that would that be affected by this deal? Most likely not, considering that the people who buy that shit indulge in that. And then I don't see anyone, whether it be Jared Kushner, Saudi Arabia, or any other fucking company that's behind it, that would essentially shoot themselves in the foot upon something that's actually generating money and content under from them buying EA just to fit some type of weird, social construct or whatever that they believe, because that wouldn't be the reason that they would buy this company in the first place. There has to be there's like whether or not they can see themselves either making a profit from the disaster that has happened with EA, or whether or not they can see themselves adding on to it or indulging in more content that they can push under EA's with its resources and whatnot. It's a huge gaming company, so it's like, hey, if we can use these resources to get shit that we want out for our people to enjoy as well as the rest of the world, bam, money. And we ain't really got to do nothing aside from just buying another company. We got the money to throw at it, so why not? And it's like, it goes to show you exactly how fucked EA is as a company when it just got revealed upon this happening, or like this acquisition happening and whatnot, that they're $20 billion in debt. And it's like, wait a minute, so they're about to spend, like, I believe like the deal itself is like 55 billion for the whole thing. And so then there's like, but 20 billion of that is debt towards the company, meaning that the company owes $20 billion. So essentially they're spending 55 billion because the company took on $20 billion of debt. And then it's like, all right, so the rest of it is like, 30 something, or actually 25, right? No, yeah, 30 something, 35. But yeah, and it's like, dude, how the fuck does that even make any goddamn sense? And it's like, so technically wouldn't it mean that EA itself is only worth like 15 billion? But it's like, we're about to waste 55 billion for this. And I don't know what the grand scheme that they got going on or what is that they're going to do with the company upon them buying it. But in the long run, this seems like a fucking retarded purchase, especially for a company that has been hemorrhaging money for so fucking long, doing absolutely nothing with major IPs that it has under its belt, and a consistent need to buy up companies, hollow them out, and then fucking ruin whatever IP they purchased along the way. They've done bad business practice after bad business practice, and it's all coming to a head. And luckily, they're basically about to get the greatest golden parachute you could possibly fucking imagine right now from a huge buyout where everyone who essentially is fucked over the company can just wash their hands of the matter and walk away. It's so goddamn lucky, it's disgusting. But I don't see the reason why a lot of people are getting upset as if this is going to do anything towards gaming. When the fuck has EA done anything that essentially has majorly or drastically changed the shape of gaming as of late? Only thing that they have are essentially sports games that really matter, and they keep fucking those up year after year after year. Even FIFA had a huge problem, I believe, last year and then coming up this year as well. They're not selling the way how they used to, and this is a problem for EA, a big problem for EA. Fuck, a $20 billion problem for EA. And so to sit there and look at that and then question that, oh, like they're going to drastically change some shit and then all the future games you get out of EA are going to be changed too. Who fucking cares? You ain't even playing the shit that they're making now in the first place. So them changing anything isn't going to do anything. It doesn't matter. It just really doesn't matter. But I do believe that we're all going to get a lot of fucking layoffs because of this, which is honestly, you take that however you want. But honestly, it's like a layoff from a company that does nothing for me. So, that's whatever. But hopefully this will inspire and entice other companies to essentially do better. I mean, again, we're now getting smaller studios essentially blowing AAA studios out of the water by just doing the bare minimum. Hell, and if anything, all that people ask isn't just that, the content or the graphics or anything be good, but just that the game itself is playable. A lot of these games are people looking forward to and people are going out and buying it, but they're just not playable, whether or not they keep rushing themselves off to be on Unreal Engine 5 or any other fucking thing like that. I mean, the Metal Gear Solid Delta game, highly, like, people really wanted to play that game, then came out and it just has bad not user interface, but it's just basically just hard to play the game. Same thing with the new what's the name of that game, Borderlands. And it was like, yeah, that's an issue. That's a major issue. But it's like, if your game would have just came out and that would have been fine, you'd have been great. You'd have been super great. Instead, you got Randy Pitchford losing his damn mind all over Twitter on everybody. And you have to deal with that because he won't leave you alone. Because he really, really likes Borderlands, and you really, really need to understand that, like, you just need to optimize your system. You're broke, and that's the problem. But I I don't see how this is a bad or a good thing for gaming, but more so just it's a big deal. But I don't see how this would be a bad or a good thing, you know? And it's like, I don't see anything that's going to happen that's going to change within the rhetoric of like, hey, because of Saudi Arabia's politics, we now have to play games that like that. And it's like, says who? Says who? It's like the games that I'm looking forward to that I want to see come out are fucking Eastern games. And a lot of them ain't got shit to do with EA. They're not under EA. So again, even if that's the case, who cares? Who cares what? And it's like, and then I guarantee you, if they try to force their rhetoric behind their games and whatnot, you're going to get a massive appeal of people not buying the shit, which is going to make them change their minds on how they deal with that stuff because they follow the almighty dollar. They ain't following, you know, we got to get our message out. They're following the dollar, which is why we're getting so many gaming layoffs now. So just expect to see more gaming layoffs in the future, as well as a bunch of people eating their own words and thinking that, oh, gaming itself is going to drastically change. EA isn't gaming. We've had a bunch of these fucking buyouts keep happening, but to these companies that fucking suck. And you get what you deserve. That's all. What is it, Ubisoft? Yeah, Ubisoft getting bought by Tencent, Naughty Dog, all those companies on the PlayStation, but at least they're doing something. It just, it got to get worse before it gets better. But at the same time, you need to understand that none of this has any bearings on what's going to happen to gaming in the future. Not in the long run, but it's just a big deal. It's just a really big deal because that's a big number. Billion? I mean, it was a big number when Xbox bought Activision Blizzard and when they bought Bethesda. Those were big numbers. So it's like, dude, but then it's like, after that happened, what did they have to show for it? And it's like, that's what you're getting as an issue. That's what the main problem is. And it's like, you're buying these companies that essentially have no fucking idea what they're doing for their consumers in the first place. And you're assuming that they're going to get your money, that you're going to get your money back after you don't bought them. No, because they don't know what they're doing, which is why they're getting bought in the first place. And now that you got it, you don't know what you're doing because you didn't know what you were doing in the first place when you bought them. You just did it because you thought they might get you something. But hey, whatever. Like I said, I'm not worried about this until like something major or crazy happens, but I do believe that it's essentially getting out of hand to have so many gaming companies basically under the umbrella of a major corporation or a major entity. Fuck with Tencent, about to say Stillwell, Tencent, BlackRock, and all these shits. And it's like so many different things are owned by these entities. And it's like, I mean, did anyone sit there and care that Ubisoft was trying to sell themselves to Tencent and they thought that, oh, we're going to get a lot of Chinese conservative shit in our video games, especially from the French? So it's like the French are going to have to start thinking like the Chinese. No one thought that. No one thought that. So why is it so apparent for this to be like the main idea? And it's like, no, this shit is all about the almighty dollar. This is all about money at the end of the day. But it's a very big fucking number that we're hearing and we're having to deal with. So this is the byproduct of that. But I'm curious to see what else is going to happen. I'm going to be glad when a lot of these companies that essentially EA has is either getting pushed to the limit of either make something or get fired. Hopefully that might be a thing as well. But yeah, ain't nothing from nothing leads nothing.